Recently I reviewed the Musician Audio Pegasus DAC that you can see behind me there in silver. And it's a product from a company I knew absolutely nothing about. And I was very impressed with the Pegasus DAC. I liked its rugged build quality, its high quality connections, and its sound quality. I understood and appreciated what Musician Audio are trying to do with the Pegasus DAC in terms of the sound they are trying to create. And I think it justifies its £879.99 asking price because of how it stacks up to other similarly price competitive products across the market. And shortly after that review, Musician Audio contacted me and asked me if I was interested to review their brand new Andromeda headphone amplifier that you can see there behind me in black. And my answer was naturally yes. And I was really looking forward to listening to it. As I sit here now to give you this review, I can't help but feel really quite frustrated. Firstly, I feel I need to clarify something. A big part of this frustration is with myself. As a reviewer, I've looked at a lot of different hi-fi products, and as a Dirac Live calibrator, I get to see lots of different home cinema systems, lots of different subwoofers, speakers and more. So I've got a lot of experience with a lot of hi-fi and home cinema products. But when it comes to headphones, I've generally reviewed quite a few lower priced units, such as the products from Hi-Fi Audio and maybe the Chord Electronics Mojo and other bits. And then for my own big system, I've spent and lived with quite a bit of time with the Chord Electronics Dave and the Chord Electronics Hugo TT2. So right at the other end of the spectrum. I feel like there's quite a big hole in my experience with headphone amplifiers and products costing maybe between £500 and £2,000. And the reason that frustrates me is because it just makes it that bit more difficult to justify how good something is against, price point, against a competition price point within that price category range. But as I say that, thinking about how good some of the more affordable products are, again, from the likes of Hi-Fi Audio and the Chord Electronics Mojo, it means that when products cost more than that, they really have to be very good in order to impress. And then when we introduce the Musician Audio Andromeda, which costs £649.99 or $849.99, it costs significantly more. It really needs to be good in order to impress. And I was impressed with the Musician Audio Andromeda headphone amplifier when I took it out of the box. And again, it had a really lovely, rugged, heavyweight and heavy duty build quality. It has both 6.35 unbalanced and 4-pin XLR balanced headphone connections. It has a very nice resistance volume control, and overall just a very nice, sturdy and solid weight and build quality to it. And in a way that's no surprise because it uses the same high quality transformer and linear power supply design as the Pegasus DAC. And obviously both products are from the same manufacturer. Pretty sure they're from the same product line from the same manufacturer. So naturally we would expect the Pegasus DAC to be designed to be used with the Andromeda headphone amplifier and also with some of the other new products that Musician Audio will be releasing soon, such as a dedicated preamplifier and a digital music player. The other important thing to point out with the Andromeda headphone amplifier is that it's an analog balanced input device only, which means you can only connect to it from a DAC that has balanced connections or balanced outputs, which again goes hand in hand with the Pegasus DAC because we know the Pegasus really is a balanced design and it sounds best when you use it from its balanced connection. There is also balanced outputs on the Andromeda headphone amplifier, which is very interesting because that makes me think you can use it as a preamplifier as well. And I really like that flexibility. It means you can more easily integrate it into a hi-fi system or integrate it into maybe a headphone system and then off into some powered active speakers. So again, I really like that flexibility, but that's not something that I tested as part of this review. A quick glance at the spec sheet and there is a lot to like, such as it's a balanced, pure Class A design. It has an Alpis potentiometer, volume control. I think Musician Audio mean Alps potentiometer, and that's obviously just a language translation thing. Musician Audio say that the Andromeda will easily drive any headphones from 15 to 600 ohms, and they claim a power rating of just under 1 watts on the unbalanced output at 32 ohms, which I think sounds very nice. And at the other end of things, just under 1 watt on the balanced output at 600 ohms. So yes, the headphone amplifier has considerably more power output off of its balanced connection. I think we would expect that anyway. Now, my second point of frustration with this review, again, falls on me. I, called on a few favors to try and get as many different higher quality sets of headphones here to test the Andromeda as I could. And you know what? I didn't do bad. I managed to get the Sennheiser HD820 headphones that you can see there behind me. I managed to get the Dan Clark Audio Ether C close back headphones, and then my own Beyerdynamic DT1770 Pro and Sennheiser Drop HD6XX headphones. So a good selection of headphones. But where my frustration is that I didn't have the correct cables to be able to test all of these different headphones from the unbalanced and the balanced output of the Andromeda. With the Sennheiser HD820 headphones, I could only test them from the balanced output, and I could only test the other 3 headphones from the unbalanced output. And you think that wouldn't make that big a difference, except with this review, it would have been really, really useful to be able to cross-compare them, because I found the sound quality from the Andromeda to be really quite different coming off of the balanced compared to the unbalanced. Now, on that point, when Musician Audio contacted me about doing this review, it was a number of weeks ago, and there was only 2 Andromeda headphone amplifiers in the world. So this is a very early production unit, and I am wondering if maybe there's something just not quite right with the unbalanced output, just because it is so different sounding to the balanced. If this is the only review that you see with someone speaking like this about it, then I would say that's probably the case, and to just kind of disregard, my comments on the unbalanced. But I want to start on a positive. Using the Andromeda headphone amplifier with the Pegasus DAC, using the balanced output into the Sennheiser HD820 headphones, they are a £2,000 very high-end headphone. There were some really very impressive things about this combination and how they worked really nicely with the Sennheiser headphones. It's a similar story. I can really see what Musician Audio are trying to do here. They're looking to create a headphone amplifier that has a transparent and neutral sound. That is a clear sounding headphone amplifier with nice and present treble. Very good timing so that micro details are presented with as much clarity as macro details. And there was a good amount of bass, a good amount of bass presence, and I think most interestingly, a good amount of bass separation. Now, if anybody out there has listened to the Sennheiser 800 range of headphones, especially the open back, the 800S, you'll know that as headphones, they're trying to create a very open soundstage. One of the negatives of the 800 headphones, in my opinion, is that they do it at the expense of the upper mid-range and bass, so that the overall sound of those headphones can be a bit hollow. Now, with this stack of products and the HD820S, which are closed back, that's not the case. There is a very solid and tangible amount of bass, but it still feels quite nicely separated but integrated. That just means there's very good clarity to the overall sound. And yes, I probably would have liked a bit more bass from this setup. Most of you, regulars to the channel would not be surprised by that. But I think the bass quantity and quality would be more than good enough or more than enough to please a lot of different audio files. One area I did find myself wanting a bit more from the Musician Audio Stack and the Sennheiser headphones was with what I would call richness and fullness of sound. I could really appreciate what this setup was doing in terms of creating an open and clear and a very neutral type of presentation, and a lot of audio files I think would like this type of presentation, but I found myself just lusting after a bit more solidity, fullness, or just more tonality to the sound. Interestingly, swapping out the Pegasus DAC for the much more expensive Chord Electronics Hugo TT2 DAC, interestingly, that gave me much more fullness and solidity to the sound, more impact, more bite, and a sound quality that's more upfront and probably more to my overall liking. What we can take from that is that the Andromeda headphone amplifier is transparent enough, clear enough, and good enough for me to be able to hear the different types of presentation qualities between the two different DACs. I then looked to take things up another notch, so I engaged the Chord Electronics Hugo M scalers upsampling, which gives the sound better timing, a tighter and crisper overall presentation, and I could hear that coming through the Andromeda headphone amplifier again. So the Chord Electronics Hugo TT2 with the Hugo M scaler doing what it does best into the Andromeda headphone amplifier coming off of its balanced into the Sennheiser HD820 headphones. That's a very premium and high-end headphone setup, and it was sounding absolutely fantastic. I could have listened to it for hour upon hour, and I was finding myself being really engaged, like head bobbing, toe tapping. Yeah, just really enjoyed it. I could have listened to that setup for hours. Now I wish I could say the exact same thing or just something very similar about the unbalanced output. And that is where I started this review. I started this review with the Dan Clark Audio FSC headphones with the double Musician Audio Stack coming out of the unbalanced 6.35mm headphone output, because I really wanted to listen to those headphones and see what they were all about, and obviously listen to the Musician Audio Stack. And straight away I was really quite underwhelmed. Yeah, the music sounded like how I expected it to a degree, but the overall soundstage just sounded just a bit compressed. It just sounded a bit kind of squashed in the middle. So I thought, well, maybe the Andromeda just needs some running time. So I let it play constantly for about 3 days. And after that, things did improve and the sound quality was definitely better, but it still wasn't to the level that I was expecting. And I was comparing its sound quality to the Chord Electronics Hugo TT2 being used as a headphone amplifier and a DAC. Obviously, that's a lot more expensive, but I was just comparing the overall sound presentation. So coming off of the Chord Electronics Hugo TT2, the soundstage was just how I expected it to be. And coming off of the unbalanced headphone output of the Andromeda, the soundstage just sounded a bit squashed and just not as wide or as present as I was expecting it to. So I started changing headphones, and I tested the Biodynamic DT1770 Pro. That required quite a lot of volume increase to get the volume up, which is not surprising. They're higher impedance headphones. And again, the sound stage clarity wasn't there as I was expecting, and the bass really wasn't controlled as I was would like it to be. I was expecting it to be. And then I tried the Sennheiser HD6XX headphones, the drop version, and yeah, the sound from them was quite congested and just, again, not as good as I was expecting it to be. What I'm thinking here is it's possible that this headphone amplifier just has really great synergy with the way that the Sennheiser HD820 present their sound. That's a possibility. It's another possibility, the fact that the Andromeda is a balanced design headphone amplifier. So it could be that the balanced output is just that much better than the unbalanced one. That is a possibility. Or it could just be where this is an early production unit, the unbalanced just isn't quite set right somewhere within the production. Unfortunately, I can't test that. And again, that is another big part of my frustrations with this review. So for my final thoughts and conclusion to this review, do not let my one review alone, discourage you from considering the Musician Audio Andromeda Headphone Amplifier. I can only give you my conclusion based on what I've heard. Do not take everything from this one review. But what you can take from this one review is that if you're looking to use the Andromeda Headphone Amplifier with a balanced set of headphones, and definitely with the HD820 headphones, well then, yeah, I can recommend it to you because it's a very good, very transparent headphone amplifier that's got, a nice neutral sound with lots of detail. And yeah, put the right DAC with it, the right source with it. Pay attention to a few key details and it can give you some very good sound. But unfortunately, if you're looking to use it from the unbalanced output, I haven't had a good enough or a positive enough experience with it to make that recommendation to you. But I hope this review has been useful and it's been helpful to you. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, you'll also find me on Facebook, Instagram. I have a Patreon account if you're interested in supporting Pursuit of Perfect System. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Take care.